Good evening. Thank you so much for watching this video about the 2028 senior trip. My name is Jamie Gonzalez. Here is my contact information if you need it. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself first. So, as I said, my name is Jamie Gonzalez. I am the mother of two boys, Nate, who's 24, and Sam, who's 22. Here is my husband and I in Scotland. We spent New Year's Eve there one year. It was a fantastic experience. I've been teaching for 28 years. I studied in Barcelona, Spain for 1 year, and I taught English in Helsinki for 2 years. So actually, if I count that, I guess I've been teaching for 30 years. Oh my gosh. I also have traveled to 30 different countries. Traveling is my passion, my favorite thing to do. I've taken students to Spain, Portugal, France, Italy, Greece, England, the Dominican Republic, Panama, and Peru, and I've taken them to some of those countries more than one time. I believe that traveling is the best way to learn a language, to learn about another culture, to experience a new culture while also appreciating your own culture even more. It's also a great way to appreciate people who are different from you, appreciate your own family, and really to become independent and build self-confidence. The reason that I love to travel is because when I was a junior in college, I was going to UC Irvine, and I decided to do a study abroad program in Barcelona, Spain. And that so changed my life in so many ways that has always just left an impression on me, and I've always wanted to share that experience with my students as well. So here's some pictures of trips we've taken in the past. Dominican Republic in 2018. The trips to Latin America are a little bit more active with, things like whitewater rafting, zip lining, stuff like that. Super fun. Here's Spain in the summer of 2019. Here's Peru in spring break of 2022. We also just went to Peru this spring break that just ended. Let's see, there's more of Peru, France, England, and Spain in the summer of 2022. Spain, Portugal, and France in the summer of 2022. Italy, France, and Spain in the summer of 2023. Italy and Greece in the summer of 2023. Panama, spring break 2024. And Japan, the summer of 2024. So fantastic experiences. I started separating my trips. So I have my Spanish immersion trips, which are to usually a Latin American country or Spain, but usually Latin America, because we tend to do those during spring break. So it's nice to go somewhere where there isn't such a big time difference. And those trips are usually for the younger kids. Everybody's invited on those, but I usually bring mostly sophomores, sometimes a freshman, and sometimes a couple juniors, but usually sophomores. My Europe trips, or in this case last year, my Japan trip, they are for seniors only, like graduates. And the reason that I did that is because these trips are more like cultural. They have more art, history, culture. We do more museums, architecture. We also do like a lot of, walking around, going to parks, having picnics. We do all kinds of things, but they're a little bit more, I would say, like intellectual and kind of take a little bit more of a level of maturity. So I feel like the kids, once they've graduated from high school, they really have reached the level where they appreciate that. Now, I know that your son or daughter is the class of 2028, so I know that that's a long way away, and I just wanted to explain a little bit of why I plan these trips so early. So first of all, I plan them early because they are expensive, and if we have 3 years to pay it, EF Tours offers a special program. Well, it's not really a special program, but they just offer automatic payment plans, an automatic payment plan where there's no interest at all. So they take the total amount you owe and they divide it by how many months you have before the trip. So obviously, if you start paying it 3 years ahead versus 9 months ahead, your payments are going to be much more reasonable and much more doable. And the total price ends up being the same, anyway, because there's no interest. So I really want to be able to bring all economic levels on my trips. I didn't want to just be able to bring the kids who are, come from more well-off families. So that's one of the reasons. Another reason is I like to have my students go on the trips, but they are open to our entire class of 2028. And as soon as I open the trip, it sells to the whole class of 2028. It sells out in one night. And like, for example, this year I'm bringing a group of 52 and there's still 25 kids on the waiting list. So, and those kids didn't get a chance to come, and it's a bummer for me. But one year I did a double bus trip because I couldn't stand the idea of leaving kids behind, but it was just not it was too much. It wasn't as fun as having like one bus, everybody's on the same bus, we're all together. So I don't want to do that anymore. So what I do is I just make sure that I ask my people, the students who've been in my class, to sign up, first, to get the first right of refusal. Okay, so let me go on. So this trip, which again will be in 3 years, is we are going to Europe. We're going to Europe for 15 days, and I will explain a little bit about where we're going in Europe. Here's the map of where we're going. We're starting out in London. We're going to London for 2 nights. Then we will take the Eurostar, which is the train that goes underneath the English Channel, and we'll take that to Paris, where we'll spend 2 nights in Paris. Then the rest of the trip, we have our own private, really nice coach bus. It's got great air conditioning. We have our own bus driver the whole time, and it's really nice. So we'll drive from Paris to Heidelberg. This looks a lot farther than it is because, as you know, Europe is, a small continent. And we'll spend 1 night in Heidelberg. Then we'll go to Munich, Germany for 2 nights. Then we will go to Salzburg, Austria, and Vienna, Austria for 2 nights. Salzburg, we go for the day, and then we spend 2 nights in Vienna. Then we head to Prague in the Czech Republic, which we will go there for 2 nights. We'll go to Dresden for the day, and then our last stop will be Berlin, Germany for 2 nights. So altogether, I guess we do England or the UK, France, Germany, Switzerland, and not Switzerland, I'm sorry. Let's start over. England, France, Germany, Austria, and Czech Republic, and then back to Germany. So 5 countries in 15 days. Okay, so these are the dates that we are most likely going to go on the trip are from June 7th through June 21st. So these are the requested dates, but the dates might be like up to 3 days before or 3 days after. We won't find out the exact dates until about 2 to 3 months before the departure. So you kind of have to have your calendar cleared for those days. The graduation this year is, I believe it was May 31st. Yeah, I believe so. So we will have a few days after graduation to relax, even if we go at the earlier date, okay? So some of the highlights, we will land in the airport in London, and our tour director will pick us up. We'll spend 2 days there. Then we will travel by Eurostar to go to Paris, the City of Lights, and there we will do all kinds of things in Paris. We'll go to the Louvre. We'll go to Munich. This is just some of the things we'll do. We're also going to a World War II Nazi concentration camp, which Dachau. That I have heard from other teachers and group leaders is a really heavy but really meaningful experience. So we'll be doing that. We'll see the Berlin Wall. And here's some pictures like of London. We'll do a guided tour of the Castle of Windsor. We'll do Paris. We take a boat ride through on the Seine and see the Eiffel Tower. Here's the Palace of Versailles. We will also have a guided tour of the Palace of Versailles, which is stunning. This is Heidelberg, a beautiful little town that is filled with international college students. That's a gorgeous town. And there's a palace up here on the hill. This is Munich. This is the main plaza, or the main square in Munich, and that is the main cathedral. Here is Salzburg, which, if you've ever seen The Sound of Music, that's where The Sound of Music was recorded or was filmed. And that's a beautiful town in Austria. And then Vienna, which is a really, really fun city and very, very beautiful. This is Prague, Czech Republic. What I love about this is that Prague is obviously popular, but I picked this trip just to kind of get a little bit off the beaten path from, the Italy and Spain, the big ticket places that everybody goes to during the summer. I love those places, but I thought it would be nice to go to places that aren't as hot, aren't as crowded, a little bit less like Disneyland. We'll get like a more authentic feeling from these places. That was my idea. This is Dresden, Germany, which there's a lot of World War II history here in all of these places. So we will be, mixing in a lot of history with this trip. And here we have Berlin, obviously. Okay, so on our trip, we do have a dedicated tour director the whole trip. My friend Alejandra, is going to be our tour director. She's been working with EF for 20 years, and she will be with us. Like, she picks us up from the airport and drops us off at the airport. So she is with us the entire time, making sure all of our reservations are good, communicating with the local tour guides, everything. So that's excellent. Okay, so what is included in the price of the trip? You get a full-time tour director. That is Ale, who I just told you about. All of the transportation on the trip. So the flight there and back, the train ride from London to Paris, the channel that goes under the English Channel, and then our own private coach bus the entire time we're driving around Europe. Also, breakfast and dinner is included every day. The students will need to buy their own lunches, which that is really a fan favorite because that's the time when the kids go and explore and try out local cuisine. Some of them might try street food. Some of them might try going to like a fancy restaurant. That's really a fun time for the kids. Also, all of the hotel nights are covered in this, obviously. And obviously, all the hotel rooms have, private bathrooms. They're not hostels, they're real hotels. We have also local expert-led sightseeing tours. So all of the local tour guides are, like when we're in Paris, we have a Paris guide that shows us Paris. When we're in Munich, we will have a guide from Munich show us. So that's fantastic because they're experts in the area. Also, tickets to all those attractions, the Palace of Versailles, the Eiffel Tower, the Windsor Castle, all of that stuff adds up. It's expensive. It's gotten a lot more expensive since COVID. So all of those entries are included. Also, there's a chance for students to receive college credit if they would like to. I believe it's 3 units, and I'll go over more of that later. And then we have, just general experiential learning. We try to do a lot of different experiences, hands-on things. We'll do scavenger hunts, go to the local markets. The itinerary they're really great. So what are you responsible for paying for besides obviously the cost of the trip? You have to pay for your own passport. Those can run between $100 and around $100, I think, if you don't have to pay for expedited processing fees. The baggage fees, I've actually never had to pay for the baggage fees, but they always put that on there, I think, just in case the airlines change their rules or whatever. But up to now, I've never had to pay for that. The tips. I collect tip money from everybody before we go. And I personally pass that money out to our tour director, the bus drivers, who are so great because the bus drivers, if we have luggage on the bus and we go and have lunch and walk around the city for the day, the bus drivers will not leave the bus. They stay on the bus and watch our stuff. They take really good care of us, and they're really good drivers in the narrow, crazy city streets of Europe. So we like to give them tips to show them that we appreciate them. The local guides, our tour director, and I also collect money for to and from the airport. So I'm sorry, a charter bus to and from the airport. So I will have a charter bus meet us at San Juan Hills High School. We'll all get on the bus there, say goodbye to our families, and then take off there and drive to the airport together. That way, nobody's late, nobody gets lost, nobody's stressing out, especially me, and we can get to the airport at a ridiculously early hour, which is what I always do. Also, you're going to need money for snacks and, like I said, lunches. So lunches and then snacks. If you want, Europe has such good gelato, like ice cream everywhere, the coffees, you're going to want souvenirs, you're going to want snacks. So you'll need to have spending money for that. Another thing are rooming upgrades. That I've only had 2 students in my entire time of doing these trips. By the way, I've been doing these trips for 10 years, and I've done, I think, either 14 or 15 trips at this point. So the rooming upgrade, that's just I had a couple times that somebody wanted their own room. So they paid for a single room. But really that defeats the purpose of our trip because on the trip we do so much bonding. We're like one big family. So, I don't recommend that, and I don't think you'll want to do that anyway. Okay, so how much is the trip? The total cost of the trip is $5,299. Another good thing about doing this in advance, 3 years in advance, is that price is frozen for obviously if you sign up now. If you sign up before May 16th, there's a $200 early enrollment discount. If you've gone on or will be going on another trip, like I have a Costa Rica trip next year, some students are signed up for the Costa Rica trip, then you're considered what's a repeat traveler. So that you get another $100 off the trip if you're a repeat traveler, okay? In order to sign up, you pay $95 down, and the vast majority of people sign up for what's called the automatic monthly payment plan. So like I said before, there is no interest, so it really makes sense to do that. What you do is you put in your debit card or like the numbers on the bottom of your check and a checking account, and you pick a day of the month that you want them to take the money out every month. So it's going to be $141 a month if you sign up, this month. So again, that the total price of the trip is a lot, but the monthly payments are something that a lot of families are able to swing. Also, your student, when they turn 16, maybe you're like, hey, you're going to get a summer job and you're going to be paying like half of the monthly payments or something. That's another option that you could talk about with your kids. So bi-weekly, that's every 2 weeks they take out $71. I haven't really had anyone do that. So I don't know. I don't think it's a very popular plan. Most people do the monthly payment plan. The $95 enrollment fee is not refundable. So if you sign up for this trip, we're not going for 3 years. You can cancel anytime between now and 1 year before the trip, and you get all of your money back. Okay? After that 1 year, so let's say that's going to be June 7th, 2027. At that point, you the longer you wait to cancel, it's like a sliding scale where they keep some of the money. So that's something to consider. But between now and you have 2 years to cancel and get all your money back, except for the $95 deposit. That one they keep. Okay. So the reason that I travel with EF is because they have 60 years of experience. They are a very big company. They have a lot of connections with hotels, tour guides, bus companies, restaurants. So they're a really, really good company. I really like their itineraries that they create. And like I said, I've done 14 tours with them, and so far so good. Okay. Let's see. EF also likes to include a lot of hands-on learning. They're about building empathy, resilience, independence, and confidence in students, which is really what I've seen. I've seen the kids really change on these trips. I've had kids that are like just glued to their phone all the time, and I think, oh my gosh, they're coming on a trip with me. They're not going to get off their phone. And all of a sudden, they have all these new friends. They're experiencing the world. They're talking to new people. It's really quite amazing, the transformation that happens. Okay. Another reason I like to travel with EF is because they put safety first. They have offices in all of the countries we're going to visit. They have a local office. So if anything happens, if I need help, if there's an emergency, I can talk to the Denver or Boston office. Those are the American offices. But even better, somebody from the local, the London office, the Paris office, the Prague office, they can be there very quickly to help us out with anything that we need. There's mandatory safety training for us teachers. All of the chaperones, any adults on the trip have to have a background check, not an 18-year-old, student adult, but like anybody 20 or over has to have a background check before they go on the trip. So that's nice. Mostly they're my, relatives or best friends that I've had for my whole life. So everybody is quite trustworthy, but it's still good to have those background checks for all of you. And also there's something called the Peace of Mind program, which basically means if for some reason there's something going on in a country, this never happens in Europe because these are all very safe countries we're going to. But if, for example, I was going to take a trip to Ecuador, there was civil unrest going on there with an election. So at the last minute, I didn't really feel comfortable going. So we switched the trip to Panama, and EF did that with no problem. So, that is something that I really like about the company as well. Okay, they do offer scholarships to 100 students a year. I don't know how many students actually apply for that, but it involves making a video and sending it in. And if your kid wins, then they get $1,000 off their trip. So they also offer insurance. They offer two different types of insurance. It's called Global Travel Protection, right? And then there's also Global Travel Protection Plus. The Global Travel Protection Plus is about $500, and but none of my travelers have ever purchased that. I guess the good thing about that is you can cancel the trip up until 24 hours before your departure, and you get all your money back. But the recommended travel insurance, which this is not included, I don't make it mandatory because some people already have their own insurance, or maybe you can call State Farm or AAA and get like a cheaper travel insurance plan. But this is basically for cancellation. I think it makes it easier to cancel up until a year before departure. It also, if for some reason our trip is delayed, if our flight is delayed and we miss a couple days of the trip or something, then they reimburse us for those days of the trip that we missed. If there's an illness or accident, in all my years going on these trips, I've only had to take one student to the emergency room, and it was because she ran out of her insulin. She had type 1 diabetes, and everything was great. The emergency room was very helpful. This was in Paris, they actually didn't charge us $1. So, she didn't need the insurance. But I guess if there was a situation where there were medical expenses that your medical insurance company doesn't cover, then they cover that. Also, lost baggage, flight delay, or emergency evacuation. That's something you can add up until like a week before the trip. So right now, when you sign up, it'll ask you, do you want the $190 insurance, the $500 insurance, or no insurance? You can choose no insurance, and then you have 3 years to think about it, right? Okay, there's also EF Traveler Support is always there to help us. There's an 800 number, an email, and a chat when you log into your account. So those are all different ways that you are able to, get help if you need help. So here is the enrollment information. Enrollment is now open. And by the way, I am making this video in May of 2025. I had to think about what year it was. So obviously the $141 price per month. And if the price is a little bit different now, because maybe this is in 2027 and you're watching this video, because maybe by some miracle there are spots left on the trip at that point. But anyways, the price obviously per month, it depends on how many months you have left on the trip. As of right now, it's $141 a month, $5,299 total price. And if you sign up before May 16th, $200 off. Here is the sign up link down below. And then also here's the QR code. So thank you so much for listening. I'm trying to think if I covered everything, if I forgot anything. Anyways, a senior trip is just such a great way to end your students' high school experience, to go with old friends, meet new friends, just kind of bookend their whole educational experience. Get ready for college. And really, it is a lot of money, but it's such a great investment in your child and in their future and in how they see the world and in their independence and their levels of gratitude. And, I can't recommend it enough. I've taken my own kids on so many trips, and I've watched my students, just completely change on the trips. I have former students who are now, studying abroad, working abroad, have spend as much time as they can traveling. So it's just overall a great experience. And again, I'm Jamie Gonzalez, and my information was on the first page of this. So please contact me if you have any questions at all. Thank you so much, and have a good night.